I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hiya folks, welcome back to Birds on Board, your home of board gaming excellence. My name is Pigeon, and today we'll be doing my top 50 board games of 2024 part 4. And this time we'll be ranking board games 20 all the way down to 11. So very close to the end, folks, very close to the top 10. If you do enjoy these rankings and you'd like to see the previous rankings or the actual top 10, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'll list the previous rankings and the future ones somewhere on the screen or in the description below. If you have been following along, you might have noticed that I've been giving a little bit of info, a little tidbit in every part. In part 1, we spoke about what tool I used to do this ranking. In part 2, we spoke about why 50. 50 is such a strange number. Why not 100 top board games? And last time in part 3, we spoke about what traits I love within board games. What traits a board game must have to actually make it on this list. Now, this time in part 4, I thought I'd bring up some history, some Birds on Board history. What are the board games that got me in the hobby? And I don't mean modern board games, I mean old board games. What are the first board games that Pigeon played that slowly got me into this awesome hobby? So let's wind back the clock together. Now my memory is a bit hazy of this, but I think the very first board game I can remember playing was Snakes and Ladders. I think some people call it Shoots and Ladders. It's not much of a board game. You throw a die and you randomly move a piece. There is no player control. You can pretty much automate the whole game. There's not any strategy, but it was a game nonetheless. I learned how to count and throw dice. After that, I remember learning a game that my grandmother had. I can't remember the name and I've tried to find it over the years, but I'm unable to. It was a game where you would roll dice and depending on what number was rolled, you would take parts of a toy and start building together this big beetle. So you were trying to build this beetle, this ladybug. So we were rolling these dice and trying to build up this ladybug, and again, not much strategy. You were hoping for certain rolls. It was like a simpler version of Yahtzee. I think it was a kid's game. I remember after that, things took a bit of a leap and I started playing a game called Cluedo. I think in other parts of the world it's just known as Clue. Cluedo was quite nice. You could now start doing a bit of strategy, trying to figure out who the killer was, what weapon they were using, and which room the murder took place in. Cluedo had a bit more strategy in it. You had to ask just the right questions to ascertain the details you needed, as well as sometimes fake. You had to sometimes pretend you didn't know something, so you could throw off the other opponents. So tactics started making their way into the game. There was next a game called Ludo. These are all very simple games I wouldn't actually class as modern board games just yet. Ludo was very similar to Snakes and Ladders, where you're rolling a dice and moving a piece. That's pretty much it. But there was this aspect where, depending on what you roll, sometimes you could bring out another pawn, another meeple. I don't think meeples were invented yet, but you could bring out another piece. And you had to decide, depending on your dice roll, do you want to bring out another piece or do you want to carry on the journey of one of the pieces that is already within the board? I think at this time, some card games came into play. Initially, it was just the normal playing cards. So I'm talking Snap, Solitaire, Go Fish, Old Maid, games like that. And around about this time, I would have started playing Pokemon. I got very into Pokemon and I started playing the Pokemon trading card game. And I really enjoyed that. That all of a sudden became, wow, this is quite fun. I can build decks, I can try and do my strategies, and I really got into that. At this time as well, a big board game came into play. It was Monopoly, and I really enjoyed the concept of Monopoly. But to this day, I don't think I've ever actually finished the game. That has created a deep-seated hatred for Monopoly, because every house I went to who had the game, I'd be excited to play, but they'd have a different set of rules, some weird house rules, and it never came to fruition, the actual end of the game. I think at this time my love of the Pokemon trading card game started dwindling and I moved on to Magic the Gathering. Loved Magic the Gathering, got really into it. I had a bunch of buddies who would pool our cards together and try and make different decks. I fell off that because of the cost. I was in school still. It was too much money for me. I couldn't keep up with the times. And to be quite honest, it's the same reason today while I don't play trading card games, Magic or Pokemon or Star Wars Unlimited or any of these games, because I think if I get back into it, I'll be having to sink a lot of money in to be competitive, because that's what I would want to be. I want to be the best there ever was. At this stage, I started making a lot of friends and going out a bit more, and because of this, trading card games started going on the back seat and I started playing a lot more party games. So games like 30 Seconds or Pictionary. Pictionary, we actually used to also have the kids edition, and we used to use the kids edition cards to do charades, so charades as well. And I played that for a while until eventually I think I played a board game called Risk. Risk is a very old game, and one that I think started this kind of itch of mine that I want to find the next board game. I was quite intrigued by, wow, I can roll dice and there's so many options I have to get area control going. I really enjoyed Risk. I still don't know if I'd consider it a modern board game, but at least gave me the little bite, that first taste, the first drink of water. And after this being the status quo for a while, I finally had my taste of what I'd consider the first modern board game I tried, and that was Pandemic. A friend had Pandemic at their house. We played this board game, and wow, board games can be cooperative. Blew my mind. I really enjoyed it, and we lost. We were all playing together on the same team, and somehow we lost as a group. And that, I didn't even think that was possible. How can none of us win? Surely one person should win. No, we all lost, and that was great. We had to play it again straight away, and that kicked off this love of this great hobby. So that's part 4 tidbit done. We can now move on to the list, which I'm sure you guys are all waiting for. So let's kick off this list at number 20. So starting off the list at number 20, we have In the Footsteps of Darwin. Now, I will tell you, when I was first prepping for this game, it was hosted at one of my board game meetups. I mistakenly misheard the board game name, and I went to go read up on another board game called Darwin's Journey. They are different board games. Don't make the same mistake I did. Who would have thought that Darwin had multiple board games themed towards him? Congratulations, Mr. Darwin.
My next theory is about how watching birds on board makes my beard tingle in a good way. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
In the Footsteps of Darwin has multiple awards to its name. Two of the ones I'd like to mention is in 2024, it was both a nominee for the Spiel des Jahres. It didn't end up winning, but still, great honor to be a nominee. And it was also a Mensa Select winner. So if you're a big smarty pants, you would have heard of this game. It is a competitive 2 to 5 player game. You are a junior naturalist, and you are helping Darwin complete his book on the origin of species. You are on a ship, the Beagle, and you are floating around this tableau. Now, on your turn, you can select one of the tiles that are in the same column or row that the Beagle is placed. And depending on what tile you take, that's how many spaces the Beagle will move for the next player. So you have a bit of control here. You can decide, am I going to take this tile because it is exactly what I need? Or am I going to take this tile because it places the Beagle a certain amount of spaces away where I know the opponent isn't going to have good choices? You're then taking these tiles and putting them on your grid and then trying to build certain patterns that will give you end-game bonuses. There are many different scoring methods, and it's your choice as to which method you are going to go for the most. You are trying to get the most points and being the most helpful to Darwin and his book. I feel it's an incredibly simple game, but because there are so many scoring methods, you could pick up a theory of evolution as well and then try your best to get even more points, but that takes a turn. So do you want to do that? And this very simple game with very simple mechanics. The mechanics are pick a tile, put it on your board. Because the turn order is so simple, you might be mistaken and think the whole game is simple as a whole. No, I think there's quite a lot of strategy to a game. And if you enjoy subtle turn decisions having a large effect on a game overall in the long term, I think you'll really enjoy this game. So that's Darwin's Journey. So that's In the Footsteps of Darwin. And I think if you enjoy great art and also great gameplay, you'll love this game. Number 20. At number 19, we have Bees in Space. That's right, it's apiary. In the far distant future, humans no longer inhabit Earth. Their reason for disappearance or demise, for that fact, is unknown. But they have left a gap. And who's going to fill that gap? The bees. Apiary is a 1 to 5 competitive game, and it has quite a few mechanics to its name. It has worker placement, which I'll go into more detail on because it has a nice way of doing worker placement. It does have a solo mode, which I've been unable to try, but still, props. You have a player board that you're placing tiles on, so you have some tile placement there. And these initial starting boards are unique per player. So there's a bit of variable player powers depending on how you start. You have some things you're good at compared to other players to start the game. Apiary's theme seems wacky. You are space bees, and that makes no sense, and yet the game is fantastic. It has this great worker placement method. Usually in worker placement, if someone takes my spot, I go, oh shucks, guess I'm not going there. Boulder dash, right? In apiary, those spots aren't blocked to you. What happens is if you go there, you end up pushing the worker that's been there the longest out back into the player's reserve. At this point, they can decide to revive the bee and it comes back stronger. So your workers are actually growing with age. They're getting stronger. And when a bee gets to the highest level, some actions have a extra ability. So you are really trying to decide, do I want to go there, but I'm going to push little Johnny's bee into a level 4 bee? Do I want that? Do I want him to have a level 4 bee? Because then he has an opportunity to do some big moves. Because of this, like most worker placement games, sometimes there's a recall method, but you don't really want to use that sometimes because you're hoping someone else will go there and potentially push your bee back to you for free. Now have a stronger bee without wasting a move. There's also some exploration. Obviously we're spacefaring bees, so we're exploring these planets, which means we're flipping over tiles. We don't know what benefits you're going to have, and you have this massive queen bee mothership that they have an invisible stand for. So there's bees flying. It's massive. They had no reason to do it, but thank you. It is amazing. It looks great. Actually, thinking about the components now, all the components are top notch. Even the little worker bees are worker bees slash spaceship slash die because you turn them over to show what level they are. The publisher is Stone My Games, so the fact that the components are great is not a big surprise to anyone. There are so many different worker spots you can go to. You can explore, you can carve, you can convert, you can advance, you can grow. Actually, now that I mentioned convert, there was a great mechanism I really like. So when you go to convert, there are certain recipes that you can take. You give certain resources or actions and you can convert them to something else. Great. Nice conversion method. You can make your own unique conversion recipe. And the fun thing about that is opponents can also use this new conversion method. It's actually a bee dance. And what's nice is they pay you. So if your opponent uses the nice dance you just made, I assume it's a mamba, then you get paid for choreographing that dance. I think telling folks that apiary is a game about spacefaring bees might put some folks' noses up and think,
I mean, really, these themes are a bit too wild.
it is a great game. Give it a shot. Apiary, it takes a while to understand. It's not complex, but it is a little bit on the heavier side, but a great game. Very, very great game. Number 19, Apiary. Number 18 is a game that I've been trying to get my hands on for such a long time, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and finally I got it. It is Turing Machine. Turing Machine is a 1-to-4 co-op or competitive game, and you're solving puzzles. It's solving the puzzle, the game. It is a pure logic game. It is not like most board games you have played before. You get a bunch of criteria or conditions that need to be met, and you need to figure out a 3-digit code that satisfies each of these criteria independently. Turing Machine very much feels like a game that could have been an app, but it works so well as a board game, and they use this punch card method that still to this day, I have no clue how they got this to work. I think the designers of this game need to be put into a lab and studied because their brains must be the biggest in the world. And you do feel like you have a bigger brain as well when you play this game. I do have a fat brain, but this game makes me feel stupid sometimes. The game comes with a whole bunch of different puzzles within its manual, and you can get easy puzzles and more difficult puzzles. There can be more criteria or less criteria to solve. You are taking turns with your opponents, putting forth a theory to a certain criteria, and then you put your punch cards in and you take the answer card and you can see if your theory is correct or not. You want to be the player that guesses the 3-digit code correctly in the least amount of tests. So it's not about testing over and over again until you brute force a solution. It's about being elegant and trying to pose the best question so you can get the most efficient answer in the least amount of tries. Turing Machine also comes with an app that you can download so you can design your own puzzles, check your answers, as well as there are daily puzzles, there are hard puzzles, there's a whole, you'll never run out of puzzles. If you enjoy this game, it is great. It also has a fantastic solo mode. I actually prefer it as a solo game where you can, I'm in the mood for a quick puzzle, generate a puzzle on the app, get the cards, and let's see how fast I can solve this. It reminds me of solving a Sudoku puzzle or a nonogram or any sort of logic puzzle while drinking a coffee in the morning. It's a great quick one. Once you get the hang of it, you are not so much trying to understand the different criteria, but you're trying to figure out the best way to ascertain the answer. So you're actually fighting for efficiency rather than what the number is. You'll get the answer. That's not the problem. You're trying to get the answer in the least amount of tests, and that's where the fun comes in. How do you most effectively test this machine to get that 3-digit code? If this isn't a board game that is interesting you, I at least urge you to go watch some videos about people playing the game and seeing how this punch card method works, because it is absolutely astounding the way it's designed, and high fives all around. I, however, love Turing Machine, and I think a lot of folks will as well. That's number 18, Turing Machine. Number 17 is a game that, again, I think most people will have on their ranking top 10 lists. It is Dune Imperium. Dune Imperium was a game I wanted to play for quite a while, and I just didn't because I got so confused.
Spice, spice, spice.
Spice, 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 spice.
Spice, spices, spice, 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 spice.
There are so many Dune games out there that I couldn't ascertain which is the one I should be playing, and then ended up trying Dune Imperium, and it was the good one. It was the one I enjoyed the most. I think there are better versions out there now, or more refined versions of Dune Imperium. I haven't tried that yet. Dune Imperium is the only Dune game I've currently played. It is a 1-4 competitive game with worker placement being a main aspect, but the biggest aspect is actually deck building. With most deck building games, you start with the same deck as your opponents. You do have a unique leader, which gives you some benefits and some unique player powers that others don't have. Also, in many deck building games, you usually play your whole hand out. You get your cards, you play them out, and you improve your deck going forward. In this game, you're playing your cards out one at a time. And the tricky thing is, you don't want to play them all, because at the end there's a reveal stage, and what's ever left over can be used to purchase more cards for your deck to improve your deck, or to improve your combat ability. There is a combat round at the end. Because these conflicts happen at the end of round, and before they happen, you can see the prize that is awarded. Sometimes you'll make a bit of a U-turn and decide, actually, I'm going to focus more on conflict because that prize is just too good to pass up. You're also racing your opponents, because in certain conflicts, they might win ownership of a certain worker placement spot, and now you have to pay them to use that spot. All your worker placement spots are not the same. Some require sacrifice. You might have to pay or have certain resources to go to a certain spot. I don't think reading the Dune books or watching the movies is necessary, although it did help me. I went to go watch the latest movies, and it really helped me get into the mood of, being on Arrakis and trying to understand this desert and all the different factions and the leaders. It was really good. It helped me get into the game, but I don't think it's necessary. Another reason that I might have stayed away from Dune Imperium longer than most is that, as I've mentioned before, space themes are not something that draw me. I know I just came back from mentioning how awesome apiary is, but apiary has bees, and I like woodland animals, and I think the bees fit that category, so that's why I tried that one. Dune Imperium drew me in because of all the buzz it was getting. Apiary also had a lot of buzz. It was getting awards and everyone was talking about it, and it was just getting so much hype. I had to try it. I was very pleasantly surprised. Dune Imperium is a great game. I don't think there are many folks that will disagree with that statement. I do think there are too many Dune games at this point. I feel the franchise is a bit oversaturated. You could say that about Lord of the Rings games as well. That being said, Dune Imperium is a great game. If you like worker placement and deck building and a bit of conflict here and there, try Dune Imperium. I'm sure you'll love it. Dune Imperium, number 17. At number 16, we have Azul Summer Pavilion. I'm very fond of Azul. I think Azul is a great gateway game, and it is something that is very good at introducing mechanics that you'll find all over the modern board gaming hobby. However, I have played Azul to death. And Azul Summer Pavilion takes that Azul formula and adds a bit of quirks to it that make it something new. Once you've mastered Azul, or at least understand it where you're not learning something new or not being surprised anymore, I think Summer Pavilion is the next step. Like Azul, it is tile placement and open drafting. It is also, like Azul, damn beautiful, and you have to try your best not to nibble those little tiles. Instead of squares on a grid, you are placing diamonds in star patterns. Another change to the formula that I think is a great addition is that a certain tile each round is wild. Along with that, you can retain a tile for use in a later turn rather than using it right now. And because of that, you can decide now, am I going to use this tile right now, or do I rather want to wait till next turn, because I can see next turn this tile is wild. It's going to be a lot more useful then. Another thing that's new is when you fulfill certain objectives, you can choose a free tile from a little separate market, which is nice. So sometimes you are hoping on rather fulfilling these goals so I can get to that second board because they've got some nice tiles there that I'd really like. Azul had bonus points for getting all of one sort of tile for columns and rows. And Azul Summer Pavilion adds a few more extra objectives for you to fulfill for endgame bonuses. Like Azul, it is a 2-4 competitive game. And also like Azul, there is a theme to it, but I think it is more abstract than anything else. I think if you are a player like me who started their board gaming journey with a gateway game like Azul, and you still enjoy the game, but are looking for something else to spice it up, to make things a bit different, try Summer Pavilion. It's a good game, and I think you'll enjoy it. And that's number 16, Azul Summer Pavilion. And number 15 is Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, the Moon, Earth. Number 15 is Earth. Earth is a tableau builder. It is a 1 to 5 competitive game with quite simple rules, but there are countless strategies that are there to discover. Hashtag synergies. Earth is a game that's won many awards. I don't think I am breaking news by saying it's a great game. I will, however, give a bit of a note. Earth is something that I don't find visually appealing, personally.
This is blasphemy.
It's because of the art on the cards. I love the way board games look, and I feel that if there is an artist with a brush or paint or digital that makes this great artistic style, I find it beautiful and that draws me to the game. Earth took me a while to get into. I'm still not fond of the art, but because of the art, I didn't jump into it to try it out. It turned me off. The art on the card were actual pictures, photographs of both flora and fauna, and it's not something that appeals to me. I'm playing board games to escape reality. And when I see a picture of a flower, a photorealistic picture, it's not photorealistic, it's a photo of a flower. It doesn't scream game to me. It feels like I'm reading a biology book. This is completely a personal preference. I know other folks love this about the game. Here's an example to make things more clear. I love the art of Wingspan. I love the art of Wingspan. I think if the art on Wingspan was not drawn and it was rather a photo of the same birds, I wouldn't like it as much. Does that make sense? So the art isn't for me. That being said, the fact that it is so high up on my list should speak loads about how fun this game is and how great the mechanics are. You're taking turns with your opponent to build up the best tableau, to try and make a bit of pattern matching and making sure that you score the most points. A great mechanic is that even when it's a player's turn, I'm interested because whatever action they decide to take, I get to take a lesser action, which means you are always engaged throughout the gameplay, even if it's not my turn. I don't know if the game is considered an engine builder, but I definitely get that engine building feeling while playing it because I'm trying to bounce off other players' moves and hopefully that gives me resources so I can do my moves later on. There are both end game bonuses and contracts that you need to fulfill, and because of this, each game is slightly different. That follow mechanic I mentioned earlier is great, so even when player A chooses this action, all the opponents get to follow with a lesser version of that action. As the name implies, everything is really planty and earthy. So you are gaining compost and you are putting sprouts down and growing up these little bamboo or plant shoots. There are also different landscapes, climates, events, and ecosystems that you are playing on your player board, which change the game up quite drastically. And similar to other games who have a more grounded theme, each card has a little blurb, a little info block that you can read and learn more about the card itself. A few of the games on this list so far, I have mentioned that I wasn't initially drawn to, and that happens a lot to me. If I'm not initially drawn to a game, I'm not going to hop into it because of peer pressure. I will wait until I'm damn good and ready. Earth was one of those. Earth is a board game that I heard non-stop praise for, but it didn't appeal to me visually. When I finally got to try it out, I can definitely say with full certainty it is a great game. Still, visually doesn't appeal to me. That doesn't matter. It's a fantastic game. I urge you, if you're in the same boat as me and you don't find it appealing visually, give it a shot. You will have the time of your life. It's a great game. That's number 15. That's Pluto. Earth. That's Earth. Number 14 is a difficult one to describe. It is Exit the Game. Exit the Game is very unique. It is more of a puzzle, more of a escape room in a box. And I thoroughly enjoy playing it. There are multiple variants of Exit the Game. There's a secret lab, and there is on the Forbidden Island, and then you are stuck in the train, and now you've awakened the mummy. You're either solo or stuck with a group of friends, 1 to 6 players, and you're trying to escape. You're trying to exit. It is pretty much an escape room. You have to go through this book and figure out the puzzles. Exit the Game has one drawback. It is a one-shot game. Once you've played the game and you understand the solution, you can't play it again. The mystery is gone. The story is gone. The plus side to this is because this is a one-shot game, everything is up for grabs, and you are tearing and ripping and cutting and looking at the sun and pouring water on. You are doing everything imaginable and a whole bunch of things you can't imagine to try and solve these puzzles. And everything you need to solve these puzzles is received upon purchase.
That's a weird way to say that, Pigeon.
I know.
Why didn't you say everything you need to solve these puzzles is in the box?
Because it's everything, the box included. Each of the puzzles comes with a difficulty rating. So if you aren't that into logic puzzles or you find them too difficult, you can go to a lower level rating, a less difficult one. You can go to a more difficult version if you feel that the first puzzles are too easy for you. You can play this solo and try and see if your brain is smart enough to figure out all the puzzles and then compare your time against friends or those online. Or you can go it as a team and maybe divvy up the puzzles. You take that door, I'll take this boat that's upside down. I've played the game both solo and cooperatively, and I do enjoy both. Once you get over the fact that this is a one-shot game, I think you'll find that you and your friends are going to have a ball with it. Pull your money together, go buy a variant you haven't tried before, and tonight we'll have some drinks and solve a puzzle. It's great fun. It really is great fun and great value for money and a great experience. But what happens if you aren't good at puzzles like these? Don't worry, Exit the Game has you covered. Hint cards are available on request, and you can flip over these hint cards as you require them. And there isn't just one hint card. If you flip over a hint for a certain puzzle and it isn't making sense, you can flip over the next one. So slowly but surely, they guide you toward the solution. At that point, if you still aren't sure, there is a solution card. So you can flip over the solution card, which gives you pretty much the answer, and then you can move forward. So by the end of the game, you will have solved the mystery and understood the story with some help if needed. If you are enjoying the Exit the Game series and think that you might want to bring it to your family, your partner, your children, there is a junior version. I haven't tried it yet, but I think it's more aimed at kids or families. So give that a shot. Might be for you. I also recommend, if you're trying this game for the first time, to maybe try 2 different games before passing judgment. I think that you need to find the right difficulty to suit your needs. If you take one that is possibly too difficult, you're going to feel a bit cramped, a bit flustered that you aren't getting the solutions as easily as you hoped. And if you take one too easy, there's no challenge. There's no satisfaction of actually overcoming a hurdle that was there before you. I think Exit the Game is possibly a wacky one on this list. Is it a board game? I don't know. I don't know if it's a board game, but it is something that I really enjoy. I'm playing it on a table. I'll say it's a tabletop game. There we go. They are not too expensive. So if you are interested, why don't you buy one, pop it on your shelf, and next time you have guests over and have maybe an hour or two to spare, open a bottle of wine and see if you folks can work together to exit the game. Exit the Game is number 14. What is that noise? Are we being attacked? Is it aliens? No. It's number 13. It's Under Falling Skies. Under Falling Skies is a unique one on this list because it's the first time I'm talking about a solo-only game. This is a one-player game. I guess you could play with other folks and discuss strategies before taking action, but it is made as a solo-only game, a single-player game. In Under Falling Skies, aliens have arrived at Earth. Enemy ships are falling from the sky and pushing humanity into underground bunkers all across the globe. It is your job, using dice rolls and using those dice as workers, to defeat the aliens and push them back. Under Falling Skies feels like one of the old classic Space Invaders genre games, but in board game form. You are rolling dice and then using these dice as workers for a worker placement. You have different bunkers. Each bunker has its different layout. You have different cities, and these cities each have different effects on your game. If your city doesn't do well and it gets destroyed, don't worry, it's just on fire. We'll fix this. You flip the tile over, and now all of a sudden you have a bit more of a benefit added to you. So maybe next time will go more in your favor. Your bunkers have different rooms, and you are trying to place these dice in the room. Here's the catch though. The higher the value of your worker dice that you place in a room, the more powerful that room's effect is. Great. However, the value on the die are also how fast the aliens are going to descend. So if I put a big fat 6 on a room, that's going to be a 6 powerful. Oh, it's such a nice room. But also, an alien ship is going to come down 6 spaces. You are trying to figure out how many spots an alien ship should go down versus how much power you need in the room, and trying to balance these odds. Also, placing a certain colored die forces you to re-roll the unplaced dice. This can work in your favor or against you. I might be forced to place a die for a certain reason, and that could make me re-roll and get a worse off hand. Or I might have a terrible roll, and placing this one die allows me to re-roll and hopefully get something better. You are shooting down enemy ships. You are watching the alien mothership descend, because when that mothership gets onto your base, it's game over. There are a set amount of turns before this alien mothership gets to the bottom, and if she gets there, you're done. The board itself is modular and made up of different tiles, and if you want a harder experience, you can flip these tiles over to get a more harder, more aggressive alien armada attacking you. It is a long game, and I'm not saying that to mean it takes a long time. I'm saying that because it's a damn long game. It is so tall. The board hardly fits on my table. If you've watched some of my playthroughs, you'll notice I always have to try and figure out a way to put this game on the table because it is so long. It's Space Invaders. They need to come from somewhere. They're coming from space. Under falling skies are coming from the sky. And I haven't even mentioned the best part. There is a campaign in the box. As you go through this campaign, you are unlocking more of the story as well as more tiles, more things. I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to give spoilers, but there is more to the game than what you get when you initially open it, which is great fun. Just when you think the aliens have thrown everything they have at you, they whip out something new, but don't worry, you've got new stuff as well. Under Falling Skies is a great game if you're looking to get into the solo space. I don't think it's too heavy. I think it's nice and simple to grasp, and the modular tiles allow you to adjust the difficulty to suit exactly what you're looking for. Are you looking for a nice game to play and relax with a cup of coffee, or are you looking really to scratch your brain and feel like an idiot while these aliens destroy you? Under Falling Skies was the first solo-only game I bought, and it really awakened something in me, and I hope it awakens something in you folks as well. Give it a shot. Let me know in the comments below. Has Under Falling Skies turned you on to solo games, or has it turned you off? That's number 13, Under Falling Skies. What's up? Now, not to brag, but I have been voted most prettiest board game content creator, and thank you. I wasn't expecting it, but thank you. But at number 12, we have a board game that might win the prettiest board game award. At number 12, we have Sagrada. I'm going to repeat this one more time and throw up a screenshot because I really hope you guys can see this. Sagrada is damn pretty. Sagrada is beautiful. It is a 1-4 competitive game where you are playing as an artisan who is trying to construct the most beautiful stained glass windows for the Sagrada Familia. And you do this by drafting tiny little colorful dice that Sagrada comes with. You get a bag of about 100 of these things. First of all, that feels great. Sticking your hand in a bag of dice and shaking it around, ooh, those feels. Looking at them, beautiful. They are so colorful, they are translucent. When the light hits your board, wow. Now, I haven't even gotten onto the gameplay. This is just the visual appeal of the game is top notch. Let's get onto the gameplay. You are drawing some dice into a common pool, and your opponents and you are taking turns drafting these dice to put into your window frame. These window frames are not all the same, so the dice you are going for might not be the dice your opponent is going for. You also each have private player objectives, so there might be a goal or color or something I'm going for that my opponents don't care for. And because I don't know what they're going for, I'm looking at how they are placed on the board and trying to figure out, can I screw my next door neighbor up by taking this die? Because I think that's what they're going for. They are also public objectives. So now I do know what everyone's going for. And I can try and decide, am I going for private? Am I going for public? Am I trying to screw over my neighbor? Or am I just playing to have fun and looking at this pretty window? There are certain restrictions that you have to abide by when placing your dice on your window frame. Dice of the same color cannot be next to each other. Dice of the same value cannot be next to each other. And if the placement spot has either a value or a color, you have to put that value or color there, nothing else. These restrictions don't seem to come into play in the early game. You don't even think about them. If there's enough space, the dice will fit. But as the game goes on, it starts being a bit tricky about where you can place things. And if you can't place a dice, oops, you get a crack. You don't get to place that die. Near the end of the game, everyone is looking at each other's masterpieces and trying to decide, am I going to go for something to give me a couple points, or am I going to pick something that I know is going to subtract a whole bunch of points from everyone else because they won't be able to complete their windows? It becomes ruthless pretty quickly. But no worries, you don't have to rely on your hands. You also have some artisan tools to use. You get these favor tokens that you can use to purchase tools, and these tools let you subvert certain rules within the game, and they make building your stained glass window much easier. The problem is these favor tokens are worth points at the end of the game. So do I want to use them to get an artisan tool, or do I want to keep them till the end of the game for points? Also, the way you get these favor tokens is dependent on your window frame. A more difficult to place window frame with more restrictions will give you more favor tokens, but it is harder to place those dice down. Or do I go with a more simple window frame? Gives me less favor tokens, but I can most likely finish my window frame. There's less restrictions. to you. I'm going to say this one more time and then I won't mention it again. Sagrada is absolutely gorgeous to look at when you're playing it, and it is a big chunk of the fun looking at the art you've created at the end of the game, especially when the light hits it. Those favor tokens as well are gloss, so it really is spectacular in the light. But prettiness aside, it is a great game, and you can see that by the amount of expansions that have come out. There is a 5 to 6 player expansion. There is a legacy version that I haven't tried that looks great. There is an expansion that adds more window frames and more colored dice. It is such a great game, and many people love it. All that being said, it is not a difficult game. It is quite simple to teach, and most people will pick it up after a game or two. I think even the box looks great. And looking great in the box, looking great on the table, and great gameplay that everyone can play. It's hitting all the marks. If you don't have Sagrada, it's one of the few games I'm going to say, go get it. You won't be disappointed. Worst case scenario, someone will buy it off you damn quickly. Get Sagrada. Sagrada was number 12. Now we're at the end of today's list, and we've been to space. We've been to other planets. We've been down to Earth. We've been just about everywhere. But I think let's bring it even closer to home. At number 11, we have Suburbia. Suburbia is a 1 to 4 player competitive game where you're planning, building, and developing the small little community into a large metropolis, because the city that attracts the highest population is going to be the winner. It is a tile placement game where you are placing hexes on your player board, and these represent residential, civic, commercial, special points of interest for bonus points, as well as industrial zones. Your goal is to build this province that both generates you enough money so you can build bigger and more fancier buildings, but also increase your population so you can win the game at the end. Population equals points. You start off with quite a low reputation and you are placing tiles to try and get more income. Suburbia feels like SimCity, the board game. I don't know if you folks have played SimCity before, but it's a very similar concept. It is, you are trying to group together the relevant areas, residential and residential. Residential shouldn't be too close to the industrial, but it should be close enough to the commercial so you can go to a restaurant, so you can go to work. It makes sense. I enjoy it when board games that are based on reality, grounded as it were, have the mechanics aligned to that reality. It makes more sense and it's easier to pick up that way. Suburbia, again, has multiple awards. I will mention 2013 Mensa Select winner. So again, all those smarty pants, pick it up, you'll enjoy it. I assume you already have it. It has a solo mode that I've heard is very good. I haven't tried it yet, but it does sound interesting. I think you are going up against a rival, a neighbor who is up to no good. I'd love to try it. I always like to try solo variants of games I enjoy. I'm also impressed at how much info they have seemed to fit on each of the hex tiles. Every corner has some info, the color, the art, everything fits so nicely, so easy to read, and it doesn't feel too cluttered. There are private endgame bonuses that you are trying to keep from your opponents, so your town might start revealing your private endgame goals that you are gunning for. Now, why would your opponents be looking at your city? Well, as you might imagine, like most tile placement games, there's a lot of rules and extra points to be gained by having your tiles adjacent to relevant other tiles. Plus 5 points if you're next to an airport, or some extra money if you're surrounded by more residential properties. Makes sense, you've played these games before. However, there are certain tiles and certain rules that allow you to gain income, reputation, or population by neighboring towns as well. So you might get a tile that says, get this benefit whenever a neighboring tile plays an airport. So you have to make sure that you're not only focused on your own town, but you also have a wandering eye and making sure that your neighbors aren't playing anything that is restricting your movement, or vice versa. Are they playing anything that actually gets you a benefit or more points at the end? It's a nice mechanic where you aren't required to focus 100% on an opponent's board, but there is a nice reward and benefit for you to at least take a cursory glance every so often just to see what they're up to and see if it can help you out in some way. Suburbia is a great game. I feel the pacing is nice, so it does come across as cozy and peaceful, to me at least. I think the best way to describe it, as I've said before, it's SimCity, the game. And I think at number 11, it's a good way to end this list. Number 11, Suburbia. And that's it for part 4. We are at the end. If you've enjoyed any part of this list or any of the previous lists and are looking forward to the final part 5, the top 10, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd also like to know if any of these board games are on your top 10 list. Please comment down below. Let me know your list. I'm always interested to know if there are any board games I should give a shot and possibly add to my shelf. I've been Pigeon. This has been Birds on Board. You've been watching my top 50 board games of 2024, part 4. And very soon we're going to go to part 5, the final part. So please keep an eye on that notification bell. It's going to ring soon, folks.
It's gonna ring so soon.
One more time, I'd like to wish you folks a lovely evening. May your dice rolls forever be in your favor, and I'll catch you very, very soon. All the best. Cheers.